think we should say thanks to our entertainment for this evening. Mr. Bell does a terrific job. He's out here. He participates in Jazz on the Green every year, a number of occasions, so really does a terrific job. Thank you very much for being here this evening. This bell, you might have heard this bell. I just have 10 seconds of story on this. Some people say John doesn't make all that big a contribution in council. That's not true. John wanted this bell so that we could have better ways to call people to action for dinner. So thank you, John, very much for that. And also for Jason and Suzanne, who put on a great effort by Yankee Trace staff this evening for another great meal. Thank you very much, Suzanne, Jason, and the staff here at Yankee Trace. Just a little history tonight. This is the 21st year of Yankee Trace. It's the 21st year of the Friends of Benham's Grove. This is the 31st volunteer dinner. It is Centerville's 48th year as a city. It's the 50th year of Centerville, Washington history, what used to be known as the Historical Society. And the City of Centerville was settled 220 years ago this year. It's hard to imagine what the early settlers of Centerville encountered when they first came to this area. They had a hard life with untold hardships day in and day out, unlike any that we can possibly or reasonably imagine today. But they, like us, had one overriding thought, a thought shared by those of us today who are here and others who followed those early settlers up through all of us today, that settle, locate, or move to Centerville because it gives us an opportunity to raise our families, build businesses, enter into professions, and what they felt over 200 years ago and what all of us feel today is a great place to do all of those activities. To those who came before us in Centerville, to those of you who are here today, and those who have sat in this room at volunteer salutes over 31 years, we can say without hesitation and know without reservation that Centerville would not be the city it is today without the commitment of untold thousands of volunteers over the years, like you here tonight, who have given their efforts and hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of volunteer hours over the past 220 years to make Centerville a better place to live. And even though it is not likely that future residents of Centerville will know any of us or any of you personally, or know how much time you spent and volunteered in service, or for that matter, know exactly what you did as a volunteer while serving the community, but they will only know that someone, somehow, and sometime in what is now their Centerville did care enough to do the volunteer work and service necessary to build and maintain a successful community, not for the compensation or to receive the high praise or accolades, but because of a commitment to helping others, a commitment to making Centerville a better place to live, work, and raise a family, and a love of Centerville. By your volunteer service, you are bound together in the success story that is the City of Centerville, with those who have provided the volunteer service to our city for the past 200 some years, since Centerville was settled in 1796. So as the well-known Centerville resident Irma Bombeck once wrote, volunteers are the only human beings on the face of the earth who reflect this nation's compassion, unselfish caring, patience, and just plain loving one another. For all of us who benefit from your volunteer efforts and work and hours, and on behalf of all of the City of Centerville residents today and those future residents of City of Centerville, we thank you for your service. It simply could not be done without you. Thank you very much as for all your volunteer efforts. Thank you for being here tonight, and hope to have all of you again next year and welcome other people to volunteer. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to ask our city manager, Greg Horn, to come up. I know Greg would have a couple comments. I know he works daily with the volunteers. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Mayor. A little inside story on the bell that Councilmember Beals suggested that we buy to have for events like this so that everyone could be seated. I told staff, I said, we've got to get a bell because John's not going to let this subject go away. And so my concern was, I said, we're going to go out and spend money on this bell, and it's going to last about a week, and it's going to be missing. So that's why it's this large, so no one can carry it out of here inadvertently. But it served the purpose. Just a couple minutes tonight, and I appreciate Mayor Compton letting me speak, but I just want to tell you on behalf of all of our employees, we certainly appreciate what all you do, whether you're a boards and commission member and working closely with many of our supervisors, or whether you're a day-to-day volunteer, or perhaps you're a seasonal volunteer. Probably more than ever, we need your assistance. We've gone through some challenging times the last few years. The state of Ohio has made a number of changes that have impacted us very strategically, and in many respects very negatively from an economic standpoint. And so we certainly have to stretch dollars more than we ever have. And whether it's helping Terry Taylor and the Sand Dropper crew and all the things you do at Yankee Trace, or helping Steve Marino, the countless hours they're spent in the police department, the volunteers, the police academy folks, shuttling cars back and forth, making deliveries and doing special errands for the police department and working on projects there. All the boards and commissions, the City Beautiful summer concerts that wouldn't be possible without the help, the Sister City crew that's been spreading Centerville's relationships around the world here for decades. Can't say enough for all of you. Looking at these photographs tonight, one of the things that I really think is unique, and I've really enjoyed over the years, and as the mayor mentioned tonight, we've lost some very strategic volunteers in the last few years, and it really is a family. We have new folks join, and unfortunately, we lose a few people every year, and many of them have unbelievable tenures, like Carl Pauser. I mean, Carl would have been the most proud person here tonight to be here with 45 years of service. So you really are a family. We appreciate what you do, and I hope that you'll all be able to stay and to keep on doing what you're doing for our community, because kind of like the Boy Scout, I guess, you leave the campsite a little better than you found it. We certainly appreciate your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Those who've worked with Greg know what a professional he is and what a terrific job he's done for the City of Centerville. Greg mentioned the financial considerations, and there'll be a new town crier that comes out within the next week or so, or next couple weeks. There's a lot of information in there about the financial challenges that face the city and face cities because of action. So I would encourage you to take a couple minutes and really look closely at the revenue projections and the expenses that have been laid out in the course of the town crier. I think it will be very helpful to give you an idea of some of the challenges and some of the options that we're taking a very serious look at as members of council. At this time, the city has years of service recognition, depending upon the number of years that you've had an opportunity to serve as a volunteer for the City of Centerville. And you'll see in the program that there's an asterisk by names which would indicate in terms of 5 years of service. And we're going to ask at this time, and I'll call the individual members up who have reached that milestone of a 5-year milestone to come on up and receive a 5-year pin or a 10-year pin or higher pin for your service to the City of Centerville. So at this time, if I could ask the members of council who are here this evening if they would mind come on up, and we'll have an opportunity to introduce the people who have received that level of service or have served that level of years, and have an opportunity to meet each one of those. And Maureen's going to help us out as you certainly would anticipate. Joanne, if you guys would come on up, that'd be great. I would ask you if you would not mind coming forward as I call your name in recognition of your years of service. The first is Jim Collins, who serves on the Arts Commission and also serves as a volunteer through the police department. Jim has 5 years of service as a volunteer. Thank you, Jim. John Hazelton has 5 years. He's helped with the police department, and he is currently on the Charter Review Commission. And that's being reviewed again. We have to do that every year, and thank you very much for your service, John. Oh, did I get you on the wrong side? We're okay? Okay. And Jim Hines also, who works at Yankee Trace, he is not able to be here tonight. I think he's volunteering at the course this evening, if I'm correct. Jason Johns, who has worked at the police department and Yankee Trace, also has committed 5 years in service to the City of Centerville. Jason, thank you very much. Vicki Kemmerer from the police department. I think Vicki's here tonight. Vicki. Vicki has also served 5 years volunteering with the police department.
Thank you.
Another 5-year award winner is Barbara Pfeiffer, who's worked with the planning office and also with the police department.
Go shake everybody's hand first.
Thank you for your service.
And Kay Walker from the police has assisted with the police department for 5 years. I believe Kay's here also. Yep, there she is. Gene Williamson, also 5 years with the police department.
Hi. My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. My pleasure.
Now we move on to 10-year awards. Kendall Clay has worked with the police department and other roles here in the city for 10 years. Mr. Clay? I know he's here somewhere. I saw him. Virgil Cruz with the city manager's office. Virgil has 10 years also in. Thank you. Paul Detting, who also works here at Yankee Trace, I think he's working here tonight. He has 10 years in of service also. I don't think Paul's here. I think he's out in the course. Okay. Shirley Kroger in the police department. Shirley has 10 years also. And Frank Masterson also works out here at Yankee Trace, and he's on the Personnel Appeals Board. That's it. Frank has 10 years also. Thank you, Frank. Phil McLaughlin also has 10 years in. Sister City, Stormwater Review Committee, City Manager's Office, and Yankee Trace. Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Oh, I got you all messed up.
That's all right. No.
Jan Prettyman, who's currently the chairman of the City Beautiful Commission. She also works at the police department, part of the CCPAA, or the Citizens Centerville Police Academy Alumni Association, and the city manager's office. Jan puts on one of the best seminars in the spring for City Beautiful Commission. They get some tremendous speakers, so if you get a chance to attend that, it's really very, very good. And Michelle Sorero from the Police Department, and also with the CCPAA. Michelle?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much.
For 15 years of service, from the Friends of Benham's Grove, Pat Flood. And Bob Barone, also 15 years here at the golf club at Yankee Trace. Now we have a couple 30-year volunteer award winners, 30 years of service. There's a certificate of appreciation for all three of them. But first, I don't think this person needs any introduction at all. It's Mary Higgins. And congratulations, Mary. I'm going to ask you to come on down. Mary, before you get away, we had an opportunity to provide a certificate of recognition for you, and also there's a couple things for Yankee Trace here for you. But I just want to read briefly the certificate of recognition that Mary Higgins has served faithfully as one of our civic volunteers for 30 years, beginning January 20th of 1986, when she was first appointed to the City Beautiful Commission. Her contributions include leading tours of her gardens, creating container plantings at Benham's Grove, and designing and donating the window boxes at the Walton House Museum. Mary Higgins has been featured in numerous publications, has hosted seminars on container gardens for the City Beautiful Commission and Garden Fest, and has created an instructional video on gardening. Mary Higgins continues to oversee the container gardening at Benham's Grove and serve as a member on the board of the Friends of Benham Grove. On May 19, 2016, the City of Centerville, all its residents, and all its volunteers say thank you for all your hard work. Thank you very much. Let me give you that certificate. Thank you, Mary. Our other 30-year award winner is Norman Player. Norman, if you'd come on up here. Norm served in a lot of various activities for the City of Centerville and community involvement over the years. And congratulations, Norm, and thank you for sticking with us for 30 years. I appreciate that. And Norm, don't leave yet. Come on back up here for just a second. I want people to hear all the things you've done over the 30 years. And Norman Player has served this community in numerous capacities. He has been a member of the Washington Centerville Public Library Personal Appeals Board, the Centerville Washington Diversity Council, and several charter review commissions. Norman Player has been a member of the city's Personnel Appeals Board since 1986 and has served as chair for many years. Norman Player has been a significant part of the Centerville Washington Diversity Council since its founding in 2003, and he has given generously of his time and talent many activities in the city of Centerville over these years. Norm, thank you very much from all of us as citizens, members of the council, and the community at large. Thanks, Norm, for all your hard work. Thank you. Before you leave, that's a couple certificates for the brunch here at Yankee Trace.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll let the council members go back to their seats, and Maureen, I think I'll get started if that's okay with you on the rest of, okay. We have a number, just briefly, we're going to talk just briefly about each of the different committees and councils that people serve on in the City of Centerville. And in this case, we have a group of people who have been reviewing the city's charter. It needs to be done every 8 years, and it's extremely important because periodically it has to go on the ballot for approval of any significant changes. This group will make recommendations for those changes and updates to the policies and procedures that help the local government work and that the council has to adhere to. So at this time, if we could have the members of the Charter Review Commission that are here this evening, if they would stand up, please, for a round of applause. The Centerville Arts Commission promotes and presents arts to the City of Centerville residents and other individuals in the community. Over the year, the Commission has held 16 summer concerts at Stubbs Park, welcoming approximately 11,000 individuals last year, coordinated the rotating displays and receptions scheduled for the Centerville Art Gallery at the Police Department, sponsored many events including the Digital Photography Workshop and Digital Photography Contest, the Centerville High School Symphonic Choir at the Hometown Holiday Walk, the 11th Annual Art at the Trace here at Yankee Trace, and that's always in February, Cooking Up Opera Program for the Kids, a day in South Slavic Europe, an evening of strings, and original night featuring the works of Centerville High School students. Upcoming events for 2016 are 15 summer concerts planned at Stubbs Park, which kick off on June 5. Again, the Digital Photography Contest. This is the Children's Halloween Concert Parade at Benham's Grove featuring the Centerville Community Band, and the Mistletoe Quartet at Hometown Holiday Walk in November of 2016, and again, the 12th Annual Art at the Trace, February 25 of 2017. A very active committee. Would the members of the Arts Commission please stand and take the applause of your community? The Centerville Planning Commission works diligently with the city staff and property owners to develop the city in a manner befitting of Centerville's comprehensive plan, create the vision in the Unified Development Ordinance. This often puts them in the unenviable position of balancing the rights of property owners with the goals and visions of the community. And it's the rare time that you see the Planning Commission, but it is when they are in the process of balancing those rights of the property owners with the goals and visions of the community. In 2015, the Planning Commission was extremely busy, and they're extremely busy in 2016. They ruled on over 50 cases of various types. Among the highlights were several new businesses in cornerstone of Centerville development, including the Shops 2, Cabela's, the new Kroger's that's coming in, the new Cheddar's, Panda Express, and Chick-fil-A. And as you know, Cabela's opened this year. They're very instrumental in that. The Planning Commission has handled numerous applications for record plans, variances, conditional uses, and rezonings. And in 2016, the Planning Commission is looking forward to participating in and reviewing an upcoming future land use plan for the Centerville Place Shopping Center, which is the old Kroger's there on 48. That's a very exciting project which several members of the Planning Commission and Council are serving on. That'll be a lot to look forward to on that. Andrew is our city planner. He works very hard with the City Planning Commission. They do a great job. We appreciate all their hard work. If the members of the Planning Commission would please stand up and take the appreciation of the city very much. Thank you very much. You can see the work of the City Beautiful Commission all throughout the city. It comprises volunteers, city staff members, and a liaison member of City Council. 3 of its members are master gardeners through the Ohio State University and Montgomery County Extension. This year, the Commission hosted the Perennials Provide Pizzazz, an educational seminar, celebrated Arbor Day with a tree planting at Stubbs Park with all elementary schools in our area participating, planted and will maintain the Four Corners area of the APD district at Main and Franklin Street intersection, advised and helped selected plants for the city's flower beds in cooperation with the Public Works Department, and hosted a reception for City Beautiful Award winners at council meetings every year. If you'll notice, during the course of the year, they select City Beautiful members, City Beautiful homes, and they're presented at council meetings almost every other month. So appreciate all of their hard work. Those are Community Pride Awards that they give out over those, usually every quarter. So would the members of the City Beautiful Commission please stand and take recognition for your hard work. Centerville's Board of Architectural Review, everyone drives through there every day and sees the work that they put into things. They continue to steward our community historical treasures, including the downtown AP district and 9 landmark residential properties in the city. These structures and environments represent the history of Centerville and are vital to the community's quality of life and long-term success. As you know, the Board of Architectural Review strives to create a unified look and feel in the AP district, and they've done an extremely successful job of doing so. Over the past year, the Board of Architectural Review worked with a number of property owners and businesses to guide improvements to the buildings and the advertisements of services within that district. That's always kind of a fine line to walk because of the pressures of marketing and advertising, and the BAR does a great job of that. In this time, I'd like the members of the Board of Architectural Review, if they'd stand up and take recognition for their hard work during the year. Belinda Kenley, our Deputy Mayor, has created a business task force, which she heads, and it's a relatively new committee and was created to improve the communication between the Centerville City offices and our business community. The group meets regularly and has identified ways that Centerville's over 700 businesses can work a little bit more easily with less red tape from the City of Centerville and the businesses, and working in a much more cooperative manner. We thank them because they've done some great work already. Belinda, you've done a great job with that committee. And at this time, if those members of the Business Advisory Commission that are here tonight, if they would stand, I would appreciate that. And it may be just Belinda's that's here tonight. So anyway, Belinda. Some of our committees only meet when it's necessary. And fortunately, from the standpoint of the Property Review Commission, they fortunately do not need to meet a lot. But when they need to meet, it is a significant item of importance, which leads to them creating a good atmosphere and an environment for the city to have proper standards for houses and businesses. So at this time, if the members of the Property Review Commission would stand up, appreciate the work that you do. The Personnel Appeals Board meets when an employee appeals a personnel decision, and then following a hearing, the board reviews the information presented and makes a decision. The board approves a body of rules that help guide the appeal process. And if at this time, if the board, those members of the Board of Personnel Appeals, if they would stand, I'd appreciate that. The Board of Tax Appeals, as you can imagine, meets when a taxpayer appeals an assessment that the city makes or a dispute regarding taxes. The board reviews that information and does make a recommendation and a decision or a solution. Are there any members of the Board of Tax Appeals? I think they are here this evening. If you would please stand. I think they're back at the city building. Aren't they working on some appeals, Greg? I think at this time. The School District Personnel Appeals Board also meets when there's a personnel issue involving the Centerville City School District. That's a little bit of an unusual relationship, but since we're the city, we have the Personnel Appeals Board on that, and we appoint those. They don't meet all that often, but they do when it's another, usually a pretty sticky situation, and we appreciate their work. And if the members of the Personnel Appeals Board, if there are any here tonight, if they would stand also. Okay. The Friends of Benham Grove were established in 1995, and this is their 21st year. And they were established to promote and preserve the gardens and grounds of Benham's Grove and to develop special projects that further the cause of the facility and the organization. Over the years, the Friends have provided financial support to the community, gathering place by funding all or part of many major improvements that enhance the Grove's buildings and grounds such as the Rotary Gazebo and the new Tent Plaza. They have supported projects such as the Pergola, the Celebration Garden, and the Barn Plaza, and many Friends board members are certified master gardeners who have provided assistance and expertise on tree plantings and beautifications of Benham's Grove. Last year, the group celebrated its 20th anniversary with a luncheon and garden tour, and if you haven't had a chance to be up at Benham's Grove lately, you should. It really looks fabulous. The Tent Plaza and all the gardens are really terrific. And I know all the friends of Benham's Grove are back there in the back, and if you'd please stand up and take a well-deserved round of applause. The Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council is tasked with overseeing the city's Community Reinvestment Area Program, which offers property tax relief to both commercial and residential property owners who improve or expand their properties. With the recent expansion of the Community Reinvestment Act boundaries across the city, this board will play an important role in fostering the sustainable redevelopment of our community and the city for decades to come. That's a very important aspect of what the city passed a number of years ago. So I'd like, if we could, the members of the Community Reinvestment Act Council to stand and take applause. The Centerville Sister City Committee has been busy planning an exciting trip to our sister city in Bad Suisenaan, Germany in July of 2017. This exchange is part a trip to Amsterdam, part a trip to Bad Suisenaan, 2 days in Berlin, and possibly a Viking River trip down the beautiful Elbe River, ending with 2 days in Prague. So if you're interested in that particular trip, have an opportunity to talk to a member of the Sister City Committee or Mr. Beals, who is the Sister City liaison. There are some spots that are still open for the trip, and as I say, talk to John or a member of the Sister City Committee. Recently, there's exciting news that the Sister City Committee is establishing a relationship with St. Lambert, Quebec, and forging a new Sister City relationship. We had a long-term relationship with Waterloo. That's been moved over to Quebec now, so we're looking forward to establishing that, and I know the committee has worked very hard to find a Sister City Committee, a French-speaking Sister City, and we're very pleased with what they've done to accomplish that at this point. We need to finalize it, but I know they're very excited about that. The committee's goal is to spread international friendships, and if you want to have an opportunity to enjoy that committee, which is a fun committee, please be able to talk to John or talk to Karen Andrews or any of the Sister City members. They would really enjoy having you as a member of that committee. So those members of the Sister City Committee, if you'd stand and take the applause and appreciation from your committee. There's the table. And this is Jim Singer. Those of you who remember Councilman Jim Singer, this was Jim Singer's committee that he really enjoyed and really fostered throughout his years on council. And it's not a glamorous committee, it's the Stormwater Review Committee. But it was a very important committee to Jim Singer. It serves as a mechanism for open communication on drainage concerns between the city and its residents. The task force meets annually or as needed. And those who remember those days back in the 80s when we had 100-year storms about every other year, I think, that's when Jim got together and created the Stormwater Review Committee, and it's been very successful since that date. So those members who are on the Stormwater Review Committee, if they'd stand and receive the congratulations or appreciation from the city, if there are any here tonight. CIVIC. Centerville Citizens Involved in Centerville is a municipal volunteer program celebrating its 31st year. The mission of CIVIC is to encourage and provide opportunities for citizens to participate in city government and in their community, and to enhance city services by utilizing volunteers to supplement staff efforts and to promote and assist citizen understanding of municipal issues. They've done a lot of things over the past and this year. CIVIC municipal volunteers work in each of our 5 city sites: the police department, city building, public works, Benham's Grove, and Yankee Trace. These volunteers are all part of the CIVIC municipal volunteer program and not only provide outstanding to our citizens and community, but also save the city and taxpayers thousands of dollars by their volunteer efforts. Civic volunteers have contributed more than 13,000 hours of service in 2015 alone to the City of Centerville. That's a great savings and a great tribute to how hard all of you have worked. Our civic volunteers contribute by plotting accidents for our engineering office, scanning documents and serving as courier in our planning department, performing data entry and reviewing plans in our building office, photographing city events, maintaining the city scrapbook and delivering inter-office mail to our 5 city sites. Yankee Trace volunteers are committed to providing outstanding service in a number of capacities, including greeters, assistants, North Range tea and green repair, course beautification, special events, and administration. And it's incredible if you see the results from the surveys that come back from the golfers who participate here at Yankee Trace. The response that you get is tremendous. And Greg sends these out to us to the city council, and I know to city staff, and that's a tribute to those who work at the golf course, Steve Marino and staff, and all the volunteers who create such a positive attitude when people come out to the golf course. There is no other golf course that greets and treats players like the Yankee Trace does. And Steve, that's a real tribute to you as the golf professional here and the volunteers who participate in the civic program. The police department volunteers help with short-term, one-time projects, while others assist with one or more of almost 30 different tasks and jobs that volunteers perform every week. And Chief, I know people want to work at our police department, and that's a tribute to the police department. And it's always interesting to see the car that has the speed limit sign on it, and I know some people have done that over the years, and all the other tasks that you help on. But the people who come in contact with our police department recognize they're the best, and that comes from leadership from the police department, the members of the force, and also the volunteers who participate every day. So, Chief, excellent job with all you do for the police department and the volunteers who assist there. And then there's the Centerville Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association, of which my wife and I are members. That was a great experience. If you have a chance to do it, it is well worth it. Officer Davis runs that program for the city, and it's a very excellent program. And the CCPAA is a group of graduates of the Centerville Citizens Police Academy. It's a nonprofit. It provides funding for several Centerville Police Department activities. They volunteer, they work special events like the Police Department Open House, Americana Festival, Bike Rodeo, Holiday Crime Deterrent Project, and Special Olympics, and the annual Law Enforcement Torch Run. And there's a lot of members of the civic members that are here this evening, and would like you all to stand up, and we certainly appreciate all you do for all the departments in the city of Centerville. Thank you very much. When we say we cannot do it without you, we cannot do it without you. We really need your help, and we appreciate all that you do for the city. And I know the staff is very appreciative of it. In council, we talk about it a lot at council meetings, how much effort you put into all the volunteer activities that you do for the city. So thank you very much. At this time, this is my first opportunity to award the Mayor's Award for Community Service. And I don't think anyone knows, except maybe a couple people, who the award winner is this year. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on this year's award winner. Tonight's recipient of the Mayor's Award for Community Service has been a volunteer with the city since 1989, more than 27 years. Over that time, our Volunteer of the Year has held several leadership positions and volunteered in many different capacities. This volunteer is so dedicated to the city of Centerville that when she was forced to move to the township that made her ineligible to serve on a city board, she joined our civic municipal volunteer program so that she could stay involved. Fortunately, she moved back to the city of Centerville, and we're glad she did. As a member of the Sister City Committee since 1989, she has twice served as the chair and several terms as its secretary. She has planned and participated in 4 trips to Centerville's sister city, Bad Suisenan, Germany, and several trips to Canada. All of us remember one in about 1995. I think we all had a great time up there. She created scrapbooks detailing the history of the Sister City Committee, and in search of a new sister city relationship in Canada, they have recently spearheaded a campaign to show Canada what a good sister city Centerville would be, and that's come to fruition with St. Lambert in Quebec, and they are interested in pursuing a sister city relationship with the city of Centerville. Our honoree tonight is a former Centerville City school teacher and on the go since she's retired. She taught 30 years, most of which were at Klein Elementary School. In 2004, she and her husband attended the Centerville Citizens Police Academy, and she promptly jumped in with both feet, volunteering with the alumni groups of the CCPAA. She volunteers for the police department's CSI camp each summer, working with middle school students, and participates in driving police decoy cars to various locations. She is also involved in other civic organizations, including the Centerville Civic Women's Club and the South Metro Optimist Club. She puts her organizational and administrative skills to work as the executive assistant for the Americana Festival and is the president of her PEO chapter. Those who nominated her use words like dedicated, hardworking, and enthusiastic to describe her. She exemplifies the spirit and commitment of the city's volunteer program. It is my pleasure, and the pleasure of all of us here tonight, to present the 2016 Mayor's Award for Community Service to Cindy Clay. Just stand right up here for just a... Cindy, here to surprise you and congratulate you are your daughters, Ann Zander from Tennessee and Laura Grease from Indiana. And Cindy's husband, Clay, is here this evening also.
Oh my gosh. This is really a surprise.
Cindy, we'd like you to say a few words here.
Oh, well, you can all sit down if you want to. Thank you. I want to thank you all for this awesome honor. I mean, there are so many of you that could be receiving it, and you've given it to me. Thank you very much. I want to thank Sister City Committee. I know they're the ones who nominated me for it, and it's been a pleasure for, 28 years working there. And the CCPAA group that I'm with, Matt Dunn got me started with CSI Camp, and it's been fun ever since, and the meetings that we have are wonderful. Also, I'm trying to think who else I need to thank. Americana Festival, I love working for it. I know we're not really under the umbrella of it right here, but I do work there, and I love working there every day and seeing what's going on. So thank you. I appreciate everything. It's great.
Cindy, as a token of appreciation from all the city, we want to give you this, and we'd like to open that up. That'd be great. But I know that everyone speaks very highly of all your efforts that you've done for the city and all your different activities, and it's an honor that you are the mayor's recipient. It's an honor that I've been able to give you this recipient, and I know all of you agree out here today that you certainly, it is well-deserved, and we're glad that you accept it.
Thank you so much. Okay. I really appreciate it. Put it over here so I don't fall.
Cindy, thank you very much for everything you do, and your daughter for getting over here today. And
Yeah, this is really amazing. I can't tell you.
Kendall, I think you probably want to come up and get a couple pictures here, I would think. Thank you all for being here this evening, and if you'd like to have a conversation with Cindy afterwards, come on up and congratulate her. It's certainly well-deserved. Thank you very much, and thank you for all the work that you do for Centerville, your volunteer efforts. Thank you very much.